Either.
It didn't go fast one.
Oh, wait.
Oh, did, well,
The BOE guest is not coming up?
It did.
It
But I had to sign
did.
back into it.
Oh, mine's not, oh, there it is. Okay,
Usually it automatically connects.
right.
That's working. Here we go. Get the back. Get the back over so we can see.
Oh,
still
we need the,
cannot-
sorry, we need the book for Jane.
Yeah, got it. It's in here. I'll go get it.
Okay.
There, we can see Jason. Do you want to move up?
Oh,
I know, that's why I had to put my contacts in today. Mine did the same thing.
Well, and I'm not a full-time glasses wearer, and so
Do you mind doing
because of
that?
that, I
Okay.
haven't like.
Okay, we are live now, just so you know.
clients or anything.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And usually,
Just
like,
let me know whenever you're ready.
over, like, 5 hours, then they don't clog up. But I don't have to have them.
We're gonna go ahead and call our meeting to order. If we can rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jane, if we can get a roll call.
Steve Bone,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes,
Brad,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start off with Mr. Fox is here this evening. He's going to share with us the technology devices that have been handed out.
Sure. Over here along the wall, we have laptops in the cases that we are handing out, along with a couple of the iPads and what they're going to look like. We've been doing this now for a little over a week. We started out for the seniors a week ago Friday, December 11th, and it's seniors, and then the next Monday, juniors, then sophomores. Then we went to the junior high, so we would have time to pull those 180. We were using a B and C wing out, go through each of them individually, redo those. So we did 8th, 7th, 6th, and then we did freshmen today. So far, the high school, about 500 of the 750 have picked them up. We have, over 100 that are in remote, so they come tomorrow. And then the rest of those are scrabblers who have forgot their form, whatever reason they haven't made down to get together. At the junior high, about 480 of the 500 and some that are there. So we're about 70, about around 70 away from having it knocked out. But there's, how many remote learners?
Low 60s.
So we did pretty good with the kids that were in the building. So tomorrow is their makeup day and remote learners. And so hopefully we'll knock out a bunch of them. Quarantines are hurting us a little bit too, because kids got quarantined, so they're not in the building to pick them up. So the plan is, when we come back after Christmas, we'll have another day on January 5th. Not the day we come back, but the second day we're back, we'll offer another day if anybody who did not get theirs can come back to pick them up. So we've not had very many issues with them as far as issuing them. We had a few sound issues here or there. We had one device out of all of them we ordered so far that we found. We took it out of the box, had a broken screen, which isn't too bad.
That's not bad.
Also, we need to mention at Central, we have 5 carts issued down there, so about 115 devices already in classrooms at 5th grade. And so we had to put that on hold while we were issuing these others, but hopefully we get back from Christmas break, we'll have a lot of carts already set up. The guys and gals are gonna work very hard over Christmas break to try to get those carts set up, roll those into those classrooms and get those started as well. So a little over right at 1,000 devices issued and out working right now. So
That's awesome.
feel free to look at those. The laptops won't, once you log in the first time, they become set to your profile. So those have not been set to anybody's profile, but the iPads are set to what ELT is using, have the apps on, things like that. So if you want to look at those, that's fine. But if you have any questions, we can answer those as well. So, but it's going really well at the moment. So
Great. Thank you.
Great job.
That's awesome.
Well, definitely thank you, Jason, for your hard work and putting some of that together, and to the technology department. I know we asked them to do quite a bit in a short amount of time, and I think that's wonderful. So
well, I got to
thank
say
you.
that the tech team has been amazing. They have done whatever it's taken. They're getting things. I mean, they are here night and day getting done. So that's where the credit really belongs with those guys. So
We did get a call from WCIA that saw the short videos that they've been putting and saw those on our website.
Really cool.
So they called and asked to, of course, Kurt didn't want to talk to him, so they sent him to me. So I talked to him for about 10 minutes, and then obviously they took 5 seconds. That's how it works. So,
Right.
but it was good. It was on at a 5 o'clock type of deal. And we got some feedback that, hey, I saw the Effingham was on there. So anyway, it's getting out. And one of the things I just want to make sure people understand is it's not that we didn't have technology.
Right.
It's just we didn't have it for one-to-one. And now we will, and we'll continue. So there's a lot of things, a lot of good things going on right now in Unit 40.
it's been fun to walk down the halls in both the high school and junior high and see. You walk by a classroom, every kid in the classroom has a laptop on the desk and they're all sitting there working. It's pretty cool to see them being used that quickly
Right.
throughout all the classrooms.
That's fantastic.
Great.
Well, thank you. Okay, and we don't have any visitors. You didn't have anything come in?
No.
Okay. Go ahead and move on to the financial report, Mr. Fox.
Okay. Last month, we finished with a net fund balance of $25,339,263.12. Of that, the operating funds made up $18,711,736.81, and HLS funds made up $3,398,305.11. Revenue we received in the education fund, $5,414,916.52. That's from local. State, $593,442. And federal, $508,718.47. We did receive, if you remember, in November, our first property tax payment. So that's where that $5 million came from. Expenses over $5,000 are broke out separately in your report. And then our recommendations this month are to reimburse the interest account in the amount of $67.35 and the payment of bills in the amount of $460,591.48.
Are there any questions regarding the financial report? Okay. And hearing none, we would need a motion to approve the financial report and to reimburse the interest account in the amount of $67.35 and the payment of bills in the amount of $460,591.48.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Brad, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Steve, roll call?
Angie,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, Steve, yes, Steve.
Yes.
Angie, can I mention one thing real quick?
You
Kind
can.
of positive. Ellen Broom, who works over on my side, she takes care of all the payment of bills. If you remember, we started the Capital One, using that credit card to pay some bills. She has worked very diligently at that, and this last month paid over $90,000 in our normal bills using that Capital One credit card. So I'll bring back a report here in the next month, or we'll get it out through Mr. Dome's interim report on how much we've actually gotten back. But we've gotten back several $1,000s through that project. But that's Ellen doing that. She's
Right.
calling each vendor individually and setting that up. So just kudos to Ellen for doing that.
That's
Well, if
awesome.
Ellen is watching, thank you, Ellen. And thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on then to the consent agenda. Starting on page 79, we have minutes enclosed for several meetings, starting with a special meeting on November 12th, curriculum on November 18th, our regular board meeting on November 16th, curriculum meeting on December 2nd, personnel committee meeting on December 7th, technology on December 8th, and our special board meeting on the 14th. The cafeteria reports and closes on page 104. We had one fundraiser listed on page 106, which is the junior high Mustangs are selling candy grams to students to support community service projects. We have no field trips. And starting on page 107, the public review policy updates and changes were enclosed. Are there any questions or comments on the consent agenda?
I wanted to thank you again for doing the food service comparison. I know I had asked for a little more information on that. I thought that was really useful. I was a little curious, just out of curiosity. I noticed in the food service comparison form that we received, I was surprised from 1920 to 2021 how great a decrease there was in meals at Central and South Side. I mean, way more than the other buildings.
Yeah.
Was there a reason for that?
One thing that was talked about is with COVID,
Right,
people bringing their own sack lunches
okay,
in order to prevent whatever,
Right.
the spread. And so that has really, we are seeing a much larger number of kids bringing sack lunches
Okay.
every day than we have ever seen.
all right.
And really it's because of that.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
I mean, I was just curious. I noticed those two buildings in particular were much lower.
That comparison tells a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really does. So, well, thank you for putting that together.
And that was Denise. Denise put all this together and
Okay.
provided it.
Yeah, thank you, Denise.
There are no other questions or comments. We would need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, Robin, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Steve, roll call?
Robin,
Yes,
Brad,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Steve,
Yes.
Angie.
Yes. Moving on to the correspondence, we had one that was in our packet, and we also received another one late today. One of them is thank you for the plant that was sent for the funeral of my dad. Your thought and kindness is greatly appreciated. Janice Black. Mr. Doan and board members, thank you for the IGA ham. We will make good use of it over the holidays. I hope you all have a healthy, enjoyable holiday. Sincerely, Deb Spence. Okay. Moving on then to the superintendent's report, Mr. Doan.
Thank you. We did not have a foundation report to share. Enrollment as of November 30th is enclosed. Right now, we're down 54 students from the previous year. We have one for you since it's actually an ongoing one from Smart Procure. They continually annually ask for all purchasing records, and hope you understand. I don't know if you want to share in 30 seconds. It is.
It's every single vendor we use and every single thing we purchase. By line item, with the price, everything, every time they ask for it, so.
and who is this requesting it?
It's a group called Smart Procure. Now,
They basically take, what's purchased by school districts all across the state and they sell that to companies so they know what to market to different areas. So the flyers we get in our mailboxes every day, that's part of why we get them.
Okay.
but it takes staff.
Forever.
I mean, it's not an easy, it's a time consuming
Wow.
item. Couple things to add. Hopefully, as a public as well, I encourage you to check out the district's Facebook account. There's a lot of positives, as I mentioned earlier, that are going on in the district. And we have it where each school posts at different times. But a couple things just to point out, the Young EHS, the Young Writers Club, last week, they released the timekeeper review, and Mr. Robinson is the sponsor there. And there's not a lot of schools that do that. And so the fine arts in the English department, students have the option to portray, and whether it's poetry or small or short essay. So I'd encourage people to look at that. Also, I don't know if you had time this weekend. I didn't hit all three of them. I listened to parts of all three, but the fall presentation of Love, Death, Life, and COVID. Mrs. Riley is the sponsor, but there were 3 episodes, and that was Facebook Live. And then also, those kids wrote it and then performed it. So, which is something that's, in this situation, not being able to have a presentation or a play, to come up with that idea and to do it was quite nice. And so I wanted to give a shout out to the EHS Dramatics on that. And then the last item, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Coach Ron Reed is our science teacher here at EHS, but longtime basketball coach at EHS, and then also in other school districts. he was inducted or going to be inducted in the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. And so I just want to make sure that that's publicly acknowledged. We put something on the Facebook account, but it's nice to also, that's a lot of, as I said, something, talked to him the other day, I said, that's a lot of positive influence on a lot of kids.
Absolutely.
And so we always want to highlight that when we can. So those are just a few of the things that I didn't have in the packet, but I wanted to make sure that we shared.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead then and move on to new business with our committee reports. So the first one up is the technology, which is the technology accessory purchase. Mr. Voss?
Sure. So as we outlined a plan on distributing devices, and at the elementary level, the plan has been to keep the devices in the classroom inside carts for just the security and the safety of the device on a regular basis. But we do want to be able to send those devices home for projects or different activities, or if we go fully remote, send those home during that time. What we came up with is there's a little problem with power cables. If the power cables are linked into the carts, and that's where they're used all the time, it makes it very difficult then to send those devices home. And so we have looked at purchasing additional power cables, and that's what the quote is. Let me get to it in here. In your packet for 785 power cables and a total of $15,700, which came in cheaper than what we originally thought it was going to be. So that was a welcome news. So that is so that we can really do what we need to with those devices. So.
And then the carts.
Right, I forgot that. That's a different quote. We needed 4 iPad carts to be able to do the same thing, keep those devices safe at both preschool and ELC. We were able to order 1 cart. They offered a special deal on 1 cart for about $1,400 for that cart. And so we went ahead and ordered that cart to get the deal because we had to order by December 10th, the end of the day. So the tech committee met December 10th, and we ordered it before we left that day. However, we needed 3 more carts in addition to that, which those are going to be just over $2,400 a piece. And so we want to get approval to go ahead and move forward with that so we can keep those devices in carts. Now, we do not need additional charger cables with those because we've been able to talk Apple into giving us additional cables to go with those. So we should be fine.
So we don't have any additional iPad carts in other buildings that we're not using.
Not for iPad, no. Now, what we've done with the laptops is we've taken every laptop cart we have, and we are reprogramming those or re-getting those into the elementary classrooms. So all the carts we were using in B-Wing and C-Wing, those are being transferred down to Central right now, being set up for each class and rolled into those classrooms. So we're hoping not to have to buy any laptop carts. But the iPad carts are built differently, and they actually come with their own power source and cabling inside of them for the iPads. So that's why we would like to buy those.
I apologize. I probably did say laptop carts. I meant iPad carts. I didn't know if we
Well, and I
had
might have
any.
said it wrong too, but yeah. So, but no, laptop we're okay because we're going to try to reuse all of them. iPad, we just don't have them, and so we need to add those additional 4.
So we have some iPad carts in some of the buildings now that every child has a laptop. So those iPad carts will still be available though for certain uses. Will teachers still be wanting to use those or?
Well, we talked a little bit like with science at the high school. When they do their dissecting, they use the iPads a lot for taking pictures or pulling up a diagram so that they see as they're cutting. So they're still planning to use those some versus having the laptops, which we really don't want taken out of the cases, taken out and done different things. So, so they'll still be available in several of the buildings for those applications. Just like we'll still have some computer labs with desktops because they need to have more horsepower and because they have a different kind of software on them. So,
Are there any other questions? And hearing none, we would need a motion and second to purchase additional laptop iPad carts, 4 of them, and cords at an estimated cost of $24,196.47.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Brad, we have a second.
I'll second.
Robin, roll call?
Brad,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes. Steve,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
Okay, much great. Moving on to the interactive board purchase.
I entered the two quotes that are, the committee met and has discussed, and I want to give a shout out to the teachers and our tech integrationists in regards to overseeing that pilot, because with everything else that's going on, where we had different types, we had BenQ and smart boards brought in where teachers could look at those, try them out, spend a little bit of time on those. Using the information from that pilot, kindergarten and preschool had asked to use the BenQ boards. And then grades 1 through, well, actually all the way through high school are wanting to look at smart boards. So in a rotation, we thought we'd start at the lower levels since we already have a certain number of BenQ boards at Southside. Those would be transferred to ELC, and we would purchase. The committee looked at this and we'd purchase 11. We talked about 10, but we probably ought to have one extra because the BenQ, they don't do on-site repairs. So if something happens, we'd have to send that out. So we really kind of need at least to have one. On the smart boards, we would look at outfitting all of Southside. And so there's a total of 27 classrooms. And so they went around and talked to each of the teacher about size because elementary teachers are very concerned about what they can put on the wall and how much room that takes. And so there were a couple individuals who would rather have the 55-inch rather than a 65-inch. And so that's why it's broken down to 25 and 2. And so with that, with the smart boards, you get 5 years of software backing, which is actually the main ingredient. Teachers have been using that software for years. And if you switch and not use, then everything that they've used in the past will be lost. So that was, in my opinion, that was a big driver of why the staff wanted to go in that way. Plus they've used them. So, but we got that at 5 years of warranty, which is more than double what we thought we were going to get when we first talked about this, and actual cord and then a mounting bracket as well. So I put in front of you an addendum with some updated costs, getting this information late on Thursday. I don't know if my calculator didn't work right or what, but I was looking at the numbers. I'm like, these didn't add up. So I went back through those. So the idea is a 25, 65-inch smart boards and the two 55-inch smart boards. That total with shipping and handling all in total is $64,013.71. And the 11 BenQ interactive boards, that total was $31,625. So a total of $95,638.71. And we had budgeted, the committee had talked about this last year. And so when we went through the budgeting process, Mr. Fox and I budgeted some money. In fact, pretty proud that we pretty much hit that on the head. I want to say that was planned. It was partially planned. Partially planned. So the money is in the budget to cover this cost, and that would outfit pre-K 4 of our levels, grade levels, with new interactive boards. And then we would look at probably junior high next year and seeing how many we could get and budget-wise and all of that. And then the high school, and then move back down to the central, because central just upgraded all of their projectors in the last year. So they're pretty much set for a couple of years. Now those 27 do count 2 second grade classrooms down at central. So those will be covered in this quote as well. So I appreciate the work that's been, we had planned this to do this last April. Of course, we had a little issue in March and kind of put us behind the 8 ball, but appreciate the committee moving forward with this. And this is another huge step for our district. And again, to be very clear, it's not that we didn't have these. We had, in every classroom, we had projectors, but the life of those has and is running out. Mm-hmm. So it was time to look at that. And with technology changing as it is, this is a process that we'll probably, more than likely, from the committee standpoint, tell me if I'm wrong, one of the main things we want to try to do is say, okay, here's moving forward, here's the apparatus interactive board that we're going to be purchasing as a district moving forward. So there's not 2 or 3 different types per level. So if there's any questions or any comments.
I've got one question, and Jason may be able to answer it. I'm curious, the 2 people that wanted the 55-inch board, are they in a smaller room, or is that just a preference?
I knew you were gonna ask me.
Well, and the only reason I
I
ask
can't
that is
imagine winning smaller, that's,
No,
yeah.
Well, and here's why.
well, I know that it covers up a lot of their whiteboard and
Sure.
south side, I know that, but,
Well, these 2 teachers, actually, there were 4 teachers we went to and talked to about this because they share them. And so they have a divider down the middle of the room,
okay.
and they each only have half a room. And so when you put the doorway in there and then those built-in closet systems they have, and wall space becomes, they don't have any. And so we actually took sheets of cardboard and cut out the exact
Right.
replica of both 55 and 65 and took them over there and let them hold them up and see where they might put them, how it would work, that kind. And then that's how those 2 said, okay, in our room, we really need,
Because it's the room is small.
Small.
The only reason I say that is because, one of the things I think moving forward, especially when we get to the junior high and the high school too, and central, I think it's important when we have a standard that we try to stick with it, because a lot of times we go with teachers' preferences, and then of course that person leaves and the next person comes in and they don't want that one. Well, I mean, we've lived that before, you know that.
Yeah.
So
And I
that
think
was the only thing.
Sherry Martin had even mentioned when we had this conversation that if, thinking along the same lines of,
Right.
if it's a regular size room, we need to get a 65. It doesn't matter
Right,
who's using it this year,
okay.
but these are
The
split
smaller
rooms.
Okay, I
Okay.
get that. Okay, thank you.
If there's no further questions, we would need a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the BenQ and smart boards at a cost of $95,638.71.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Robin. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Brad. Roll call?
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes. Steve,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes,
Brad.
Yes.
Moving on to the Effingham Regional Career Academy update. Mr.
Oh,
Bone.
we got to do the,
Oh, I'm sorry. Skip the credit recovery.
a lot of discussion's been going on in regards to credit recovery, unfortunately. We, as many districts are with COVID the way it is, and we have remote and some students are struggling. We've been using a certain type of software for a number of years, and we started looking at different ones. And so the curriculum committee looked at these as well. Talking with Mr. Schwerman and Mr. Roberts, mainly the high school at this point, possibly in the summer for the junior high, but using Apex Learning, which is an online credit recovery, similar but better than what we had in the past. We're looking to, and what we're recommending is purchasing 10 licenses. You can purchase up to as many as you want, but they're reusable, and not sure how many we would need, and that they are reusable. We felt like we'd go this route first, and if we needed to add in the summer or later, then we could bring it back to the committee and talk to the board about that. But this will help students who obviously need credit for various reasons. And so we've offered this mainly in the summer only in the past. We're going to look at, I think at the high school, we're going to look at possibly in the second semester what those options may be. And so this is, from the committee's point of view, the process to go forward. The training would be as needed in regards to, number one, we got to see where all the kids end up in grades. Then you got to look and see if they can be worked into a schedule, and then look at training some staff to incorporate or oversee this. So that's where the training would come in.
Okay.
And then if, in the summer, we've opened that up to other districts as well, other students from other districts. So we've hosted students from across the county where they need need a credit or half a credit or something like that, for whatever reason, we have hosted them in our district as well. The idea from the committee standpoint that we would not charge students during the second semester if it was taken during the semester, but in the summer, because we'd have to have somebody oversee that, whether it be a teacher, that cost we've always charged over the summer. And we would probably continue that. And that's something the committee continue to talk about, but that's the plan, I think, right now.
Any questions or comments?
That's it. One quick question. It says on here these licenses are for 12 months and can be used over and over. I'm assuming it's an annual license cost, right?
Yes.
$3,500. Okay.
Yeah. And in talking to some other districts who have this about our size in our conference that have utilized this as well, pre-COVID, because a lot of people are sometimes expanding it because of COVID, but pre-COVID, it's anywhere from 5 to 10 licenses is what they've used.
Okay.
And so we thought we'd start with that, because if you remember, I think I put 50 in there to start with, but I'm not sure we'd use 50.
Right.
And so I'd hate to go that route.
Even in summer school, we would probably not use more than 25 max, because that's what a lab would hold.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Although now, if there are students and they have a laptop, I imagine that number could go up if we needed to.
Sure.
Hopefully, we won't.
Right.
But that's a good point.
I did find it interesting that this company offers advanced solutions too for kids that want a more rigorous curriculum and AP type classes. Is that something that we could investigate?
I'm glad you brought that up, because that, I think from some of the discussion, at least administratively, and I don't know if we had that in the committee or not, but
we did.
the flexibility of what else it can offer. Okay. We felt like we needed to go, because remember, this all started, at least I started meeting with the cabinet and the principals about what can we do to try to help our situation with their teachers, teaching all day and in the afternoon doing online. Then we didn't want to, the outcome of that was we didn't want more work put on to the staff. And so we kind of pared that back to credit recovery. But we did have discussions about what are some of the options in that catalog that we don't offer that, and I know Mr. Roberts has already, I've had a conversation with him. I know Shelley has as well. Just those could be opportunities in the future of AP course or something that we don't offer that could be offered this way. And with, if you have 10 licenses, I mean, we could have more, but it's a matter of emailing them and they'll send us a bill and we'll get more licenses. So, and I think that's something we, as a curriculum committee, we need to talk about.
And we would need a motion and a second to approve the credit recovery licenses through Apex at a cost of $3,500.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jill, second Steve, roll call.
Jane, yes. Kathleen, no. Steve?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Okay, then moving on to the Effingham Regional Career Academy update.
Okay, Effingham Regional Career Academy is, I've shared information with you and we're moving forward. We kind of got put on the back burner in the spring. Had some meetings over the winter with 14 school districts that are shown an interest in participating. We started out with just the Effingham County, but that's kind of evolved. And so trying to get 14 superintendents together and in a meeting, but we got it done. And we actually got a document. And we actually have already received 4 or 5 of them back from school districts, because this is a board directive in regards to participating. And again, it's a participation whether you want to or not, because we have some from districts to the west of us who are part of OCAW, vocational. And so had to spend a lot of time in making sure that they understood that we're not trying to compete with OCAW for kids. It's the idea of they don't have enough seats, and some of their kids are not getting the opportunity, which I wasn't aware of, and that's why it expanded, really, in talking with them about options. Hey, would you be interested? Well, we have some kids that want to take automotive, but, there's a lot of school districts that go into that OCA, and they only get a certain number of seats, and if not everybody gets their choice. So I said, well, we're doing this, and this is an opportunity, and there'll be 5 areas, and if it's something that you feel is worthy of your student, would you be interested? So we've had those conversations. You can see the number of the districts that are there. It's everybody in our area. And so what I'm asking from the board is just an approval of this intergovernmental agreement. This agreement is through the districts in regards to how to participate, what that cost would be. It's only a cost if the seats are there, if you utilize the seats. How our grades handled, how our snow days handled, those types of how's discipline handled, those things that a lot of people don't think of, but when you have 14 different districts are handled sometimes 12 different ways. So pretty happy and proud of the fact that ERCA, we've got this together. And then also a letter of support is in here, a letter of support for a grant opportunity that ERCA is shooting for at the end of January. And that's really all I really can say at this time. Try not to talk about those things unless they actually happen. But we're asking everyone who's also part of this to, and also on the website, we're going to ask, I know we've talked to some businesses that aren't even participating in the ERCA, but just in the area, if they would write letters of support as well. So we're asking all the school districts to also send a letter of support. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions. If anybody has, hopefully had a chance. It's a kind of a longer document, but, and it's subject to change, but the only way it can change is through this process. So I don't think it's going to change a lot very often. But with anything, we're just trying to provide kids more academic opportunities and learning opportunities. That's been the goal from day one.
Are there any questions, comments from anyone? Okay. In hearing none, we would need a motion, a second, to approve the ERCA intergovernmental agreement and letter of support.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Robin, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Jill, roll call.
Steve,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes.
Moving on to the return to in-person learning for students.
Okay. My chair's
Wrong there.
Somebody's.
I got the wrong chair. Okay, on the curriculum committee, we've talked about, we have a number of students, a little bit about credit recovery. We have a number of students who are on remote who are not participating. Let me back up. When we first started this, the option was from K through 5 at the end of the first quarter, that could make a change and come back. From the junior high and high school, it was going to be at the semester. Well, remember, our semester goes until January 15th, which is a Friday. So, because we started late. So, one of the things that's come up is, after the first quarter, we shared this with you in regards to numbers of students who are not scoring well or they're failing. And that's across the board, not only in Effingham Unit 40, but in a lot of districts. And so the discussion started in regards to how do we help these kids? And so our staff have done yeoman's work in trying to, not only teachers, but administrators and counselors, making phone calls, making home visits, having in-person meetings when possible, and trying to share how important it is that a student can't be failing 3 and 4 subjects. Whatever the grade level. And so, as you probably know, at different levels, the response is different. So, one of the things that came up, we kind of separated this as we talked about it at 612 to start with, and then our pre-K through 5 administrators also got involved because there may be a few. I think the numbers are pretty small at the elementary level, but we would have some at the junior high and more at the high school that if they are not, if they're failing multiple classes or struggling to maintain a grade level, not engaging in online learning, not completing assignments regularly, they do not have a documented medical necessity, and there's no documented safety risk, and we've made multiple intervention attempts, we feel that, and that's why we're recommending that, we feel that student needs to be in school, because we're not helping that student, that the student's going to fall further and further behind. And I know Charlie's had those conversations with parents at his level. I know Kurt has, all of our principals have. And like I said, the pre-K through 5, many of those are coming back. Even at Charlie's level at the junior high, those numbers came down, but they've been steady around 60 to 70. And I don't have a number until we get down to that semester where that might be, how many would be eligible. At the high school, we would have a number. I know looking at the first quarter, again, depends on how they do second quarter, but I mean, we have multiple students who are failing multiple classes, and they're not doing anything. They get, the teacher reaches out to them, the office reaches out to them, administrator reaches out to counselor. I know Mr. Pullen and Mrs. Hinkle have made, and others have made numerous home attempts, talk to the parent, and nothing happens. And, while we might think, hey, who are we to tell somebody to do this? But that's our job as educators, is to try to help those kids succeed. And so that's really the basis behind this, that if they're doing these, so they really need to be behind the 8 ball, because I'm afraid what will happen is some of those kids will not get any credit, and then they dug themselves a hole, and it will just continue to dig a hole, and eventually they'll stop. And we can't have that as a school district or as a community, in my opinion. So I know we talked about this at the curriculum committee. We also talked to the cabinet about it, and talking to them last week, they asked for a couple different avenues and letters. So the pre-K through 5, they wanted a letter first just to go out to remind everybody that they could have their child come back at the quarter. It's not semesters at that level, but at the quarter. And then if they chose not to and they met these others, then they would send the second letter home, and both of those were in your packet. At the 612 level, it was more of a one-time letter that here are the different opportunities for your child, your student, for the second semester, and they're spelled out. First, you can choose to have your student come back at semester, which we will have. I know we've had a couple phone calls already. Number 2, if they have a physician's note that's a medical issue, by all means, we would follow that. Number 3, if the student is engaging and completing assignments and passing their classes, then they're being successful, and that would be another opportunity for them to continue in remote. Or 4, if they're not doing those things and they're meeting those 6 criteria, one or more of those 6 criteria, then our administrators would be calling them and saying, look, you need to come back. And that's kind of just laying it out there for you. I'll be open to any questions. Charlie's had firsthand experience as well, talking to some parents in general. I wouldn't want to particularly talk about individual situations, but in general. So I don't know what the thought is of the board, but I know from the curriculum committee and especially administrators, we feel pretty strongly that we need to help these kids be successful. And yes, it could be some people are going to maybe balk at this, but that's why we're here, and we got to help them be successful. If we didn't do this, I think, in my opinion, we'd not be doing what we're here for.
Right.
So I don't know if there's any comments. Any?
My only confusion, and I talked to you, I think about it, but now I think you've answered that. With the 6 through 12 letter, I felt like, if you fell into number 4, there's no place that says you're required to come back. So I wondered if they were gonna have to reach out to those people, and you just said they would. Because, I mean, some people may know, but other people, if they, may say, well, I don't think I'm doing okay, or, parent might go, well, I think they're doing all right. And this is gonna happen before the end of the semester, so they're not gonna have a semester grade yet. Although they should know, of course, what their progress is, but still. So you're gonna reach out to these people that are required to come back.
So our plan is, once this is approved, we're basically gonna highlight 1 and 4, and then we're putting first quarter report card and their current grades in the envelope with the letter saying, we need medical documentation or you're coming back. That's our plan right now. And we went through it today, and we've got 14 out of our 61 kids that we kind of marked as they need to be back in person. Now, we anticipate some of those having some type of a medical diagnosis, but based upon first quarter grades, those are the people that we are going to, highlight and put grades with the letter.
Okay,
So
that was the only thing I was a
there's
little
some
confused
data
about.
with it,
Yeah.
to support that they need to come back.
Okay, thank you.
That was my concern too. Like, is this general information, or are you telling the child that it is time to
You have to come back.
come back?
If they,
Because that-
And is there a follow-up to this?
well, it'll be from the high school's point of view, it'll be a follow-up. We haven't heard from you. Your son or daughter falls in with number 4. Unless you have a number 2, a physician's medical, we're going to require you to come back on January 21st, Tuesday. And so we plan on sending these out, if approved, tomorrow, mailing those, so they have them over break, because January 5th is kind of a day that they have a list, and then they'll go back through it. And again, if they're being successful, by all means, that's fine. It's really targeted for those kids that are not doing anything and they're failing multiple classes. And
See,
so,
it comes down to, if they're not doing their things and they're failing and they're not showing up, they're truant.
and that's the other thing, if they don't, even if they come to school and they're not going to do anything, or they choose, even if they had a physician's note, we would weigh what that issue is if they're not going to show up, because we've talked to the regional office and they would support the truancy aspect. Obviously there's a certain level that works, and sometimes it doesn't, but we've had this conversation with the ROE as well. Again, the numbers at the elementary are going to be minuscule, and talking at the junior high, the high school probably have more. And again, we'll know more of that later, and we can update you as soon as we know a little bit more, but they may have already identified some as well.
So we would need a motion and a second to direct administration to implement the return to school parameters beginning with the second semester, third quarter of the 2020-21 school year.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Robin. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Steve. Roll call.
Steve,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Jane, yes.
Okay, this is the opportunity for sharing by board members. Anybody have anything they want to share?
I do. I have, I spoke with a parent in the community last week, and someone who's had a couple of children already go through the junior high. And the parent wanted to tell me that currently with a 6th grader at the junior high, she has never had such outstanding communication between the school and the home. And she just was thrilled. And so kudos to Mr. Schwerman and Ms. Baker and all of the staff and the teachers at the junior high that are making that strong school-home connection.
Thank you.
Nice job.
I've also gotten a report from a staff member at the junior high that has said that they love coming to work and that it's a really good place to be now. So hats off.
I'll move on.
Aren't you glad you're
I do want to say, in talking to different people in different groups of Unit 40, just to thank each and every one of our employees, because even, I could take, for example, the bus garage. Bus drivers are having to, take on extra routes, and we have people that have been out and quarantined and different things. And so bus drivers are taking on more, our custodians are working extra, our administrators are putting in a ton of hours, our teachers, our secretaries, our cooks, just thank you so much for everything that you have done through all of this, because it is very much appreciated. So if you guys are out there, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I think I shared in one of the interim reports, I've been doing this a long time, and there's not usually one topic that I've never had where I've gotten 100% one way or the other. It's always been, I like this, I didn't like this, what are you doing? Anywhere I go, I've been stopped about from parent point of view, or just thank you from the school to the school district for being able to have school. It's not been easy. It's not been bump free, but we continue to come every day. Our staff comes every day. We work through issues, and we're trying to provide as much normalcy as possible. So, along those lines, one of the things to share, talking about snow days, because somebody asked last week, are we going to get out, because we did have snow, and thinking, oh my gosh, an inch and a half? Oh my. So, gone back and forth a lot on that, but I think probably to be about, somebody made a good comment that if we had a snow day, that'd be probably the most normal day we'd have.
Yeah.
Where we didn't have to do anything. So I'm going to tell you from my perspective, I don't think, if we have a snow day, we're having a snow day. We're not having additional work. We're not having e-learning. We're not having any of that. So we let kids go out, and hopefully their parents and maybe our staff go out and make snowmen or whatever they need to do. But that'll be about the most normal day that most people would have. So our plan is not to have any e-learning on those days at this point. We've got, sometimes we just need to take a step back. So just want to share that. And we, I know Penny gets a lot of calls, are we getting out early and all that kind of stuff. So she's experienced with that.
Okay. If we have nothing else, we're going to go ahead and move on. We would need a motion in a second and enter into closed session for student discipline, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district, and collective bargaining.
Make that motion.
Motion by Brad, wait a second.
I'll second.
A second. Jill, roll call?
Angie?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Jane, yes. Steve?
Yes.